when an eBay reseller goes on vacation, he can't help but draw a few comparisons to daily life. We've arrived at the beach resort in Key West. It's early morning. I left Rose in bed. I was wide awake. Rooster woke me up this morning. Actually, the alarm someone else had left set in the room woke me up in time to hear the rooster. And you'll hear him occasionally here, which ties into the list of amenities here at the hotel. They offer you morning rooster earplugs. He sounded a little scrawny, a little strangled, and I told Rose, who also was woke, that it was probably a pre-recorded audio track, because he crowed about a dozen times. He didn't sound very good, and I said, that's probably just to make us appreciate our amenities list. Yeah, there's probably not really a rooster out there. Took us a couple of days to get here, a day longer than it should have. We spent the night in Dallas when a mechanical problem with our first aircraft in SeaTac in Seattle kept us from making our connection in Dallas. It was supposed to be a flight to Dallas, one transfer, a flight on into Key West. We ended up spending the night in Dallas. It was a nice hotel. They put us up, businessman's type airport hotel. But it had some nice amenities, a good clean room. The people at American, which was the airline, comped us the hotel, gave us some food vouchers, and there was a shuttle to take us over to the hotel and back. Now that's going to come into play as I describe our arrival here in Key West. But we did get here. The second flight the next day, the 24-hour delay, came into Key West. Rose and I had seats 27. Seats 27 were the last seats on that particular flight. So everybody else got off the plane before us. And when we got off, we used the restrooms and we went down to baggage. And it's probably one of the smallest baggage carousel areas I've seen in decades. And by the time we got there, being the last ones off the plane, there wasn't anybody there. Carousel had stopped running. There were no bags left on the carousel. And it gave me a minute of worry because we hadn't seen our bags while we spent the night in Dallas. They were somewhere in the bowels of the Dallas airport. So we were really hoping we reconnected with that big travel bag that had all the clean clothes and most of the toiletries and things. A lady sticks her head out of a door on the side, sets off the alarm. Can't seem to silence the alarm, so alarms are ringing, and she says, "What's your last name?" We gave it to her. She actually produced the bag, much to our relief. So we rolled it outside, and we ran right into a carnival barker, a huckster. And it didn't take me more than a few seconds to figure out that he must be a shill for the cab company, because his initial introduction was, you got two choices. You can either take this taxi that's right here, ready and waiting, or you can walk all the way across the parking lot. And he points to an area where there's nothing visible. He says the Uber pickup. He points all the way over, and there's no cars there. So it's like, take this option or take that option. And he says only $9. And then about the time we figure out that the taxi, since it's right there and waiting, is the best option, he's like, $9 a piece. Okay. Now that's an interesting price point, and if you sell on platforms like eBay, you've got to make decisions like that. You know, do you price your thing at $9.79 or $9.99 or $10? Because different people have a different perception of amounts. Is there really much difference between $9.79, $9.99, and $10? Well, it's the same way for the cab. He probably didn't even carry singles if you actually wanted change for your $18, because most travelers are going to hand him the 20 and not expect change. So you can pretty much figure that they're counting on making that $20 off that $9 fare. But yeah, $9 sounds much better than 20. And as I said, he was like a carnival huckster, just the way he worded it. This convenient cab right here, ready to go. Or way over there, you'll have to walk the parking lot, you know. In reality, I suspect the Uber pickup point was right next to the cab. In fact, there's a pretty good chance that if you called Uber, it would be the cab. The same thing. I've been in places overseas that were rigged much like that, because you feel like you're in a rigged game when you arrive in a new destination. Much the same way a new reseller on eBay feels like he's entered a rigged game. Which brings up a couple more comparisons to eBay. When we found out that we weren't going to make our connecting flight, we were sent over to a desk where they take care of wayward travelers. And the guy says, he gives us a couple of choices. He says, your first choice would be to still arrive before midnight in Key West, but you'll have to make 3 connections on 4 flights to get there. And I said to him, I said, what are the chances, if we couldn't make a single connection, that we would actually make 3 connections on 4 flights and our bag would connect with us? And he kind of shrugged and agreed with me, and he said, well, if you wait till tomorrow, if you're willing to wait till tomorrow, we can put you on a direct flight. Basically, it's the same flight you missed today, but it'll go out tomorrow. And we'll give you the voucher for the room, and we'll give you a voucher for meals. Now, the meal vouchers, it reminded me of getting an eBay store subscription and a coupon for eBay branded shipping supplies. Now, you would think that since the logo's eBay and they want it out there, you know, they want the mail carriers seeing the eBay logo because it's paying their salary. They want the customers and the customers' neighbors all seeing the eBay logo on that package that you're getting, you know, go eBay, beat Amazon, that it would be a sweetheart deal. So they give you your free coupon with your store subscription, and how much you get depends on which store subscription. It's the pricing scheme. The food vouchers at the airport were $12 for Rose, $12 for me. And I thought about that, and I'm sure the guy knew it as he was handing them to me, because he said something and I made a joke and I said, yeah, that'll probably get us a couple of Starbucks coffees, because of the pricing at the airports. You know, they've got a captive audience. So sure enough, I got a club sandwich, Rose got a stuffed and loaded baked potato, and I think we still had to pony up about $11 in addition to those 2 vouchers. It certainly was never going to cover dinner and a breakfast. It's pretty much the way the eBay branded shipping supplies are. You log into the store, and you can see that the prices are jacked to about 300-400% of what an unbranded economy packaging could be purchased from a vendor on eBay. So you're really only getting like 25 boxes or 50 poly mailers or something for your coupon. It's really not that good of a deal. It helps, and I use it every quarter, but it's not as good a deal as they tout it when corporate's convincing you to get that subscription. And it was pretty much the same as the food coupon. But there was a complimentary breakfast and a shuttle back. So when we arrive here at the island, no shuttle. We're staying at probably one of the largest sprawling beach resorts on the island. I think it's called Southernmost. I haven't really spent much time. We walked around a little last night, got our feet wet. Literally, Rose dipped her toe in the pool. And we walked down to the beach and we had a nice dinner. Rose had the blackened swordfish. I had the mahi-mahi. Yeah, I don't think we got any change back from our $100 bill. Not when she threw a little wine in there. But I did have a good cup of coffee. In fact, the lady kind of looked at me and had to put a fresh pot on. So I had an unlimited supply of coffee last night, which is probably why I'm awake so early this morning. We checked into the hotel after we found out no shuttle. So they run this place, one of the biggest places, and they don't run a shuttle to and from the airport. So you're parting with money right from the minute you step off. We check in and we find out that what had appeared to be a fairly reasonable and competitive price for a nice resort, it turns out that it's a 2-tier bait and switch system. And that kind of reminded me of eBay's announcement that they're changing promoted listings on January 13th. And first they set the program up and they tell you that unless you promote, we're really not going to show your listings to many people. Your chances of selling are slim. You want to sell? Promote more. You want to really sell? Promote even more. And they've had various programs that figure out whether or not you're going to get charged your promoted listing fee depending on how it sells, including the Halo program. But this new one's a doozy. And I made a video specifically on it when they made the announcement. It's up on the playlist. But now they've figured out that basically if anybody looks at your listing for 30 days or a continuous loop of 30 days, you're going to get charged, whether their promoted advertising got you the sale or not. And that's pretty much what the hotel is set up here. You've got your standard room rate that looks pretty competitive. And then as soon as you check in, they say, oh, but there's going to be an additional compulsory daily fee for your amenities. Now for me, like on eBay, you would think that if you're paying them the set standard fee, your listings would be put out in front of people to sell at a fair and competitive rate so that you could make money from listing on eBay using the service. Well, here they've amassed, let's see, I think I've still got it in my pocket. They've amassed on their little flyer, and I'll show you this in detail. Oh yeah, big sprawling resort. Occupies several blocks, runs all the way down to the waterfront where that big buoy is that is used as a sign to mark the southernmost point. I'll take a picture of that later. It was too dark last night. But on the back here, resort amenities, a welcome drink. We didn't get that. Daily in-room bottled water. Now this is interesting. I'll have to film this. They're giving you 2 complimentary bottles of water, and they're in the fridge right next to the coffee machine. It's one of those Keurig cup types, and they're giving us real cups, so the appearance is great when you first arrive. So if you use your complimentary drink water, which you won't then have to hydrate while you're walking around on the beach, they then offer you additional water bottles at $6 a bottle. All right, so if you use your drinking water to make your morning coffee, then you're buying additional water at $6. Or I guess you could take the little dainty cup and you could go back and forth from the sink to fill your Keurig to make your coffee. But it's an interesting system. 3 pools, Wi-Fi, pool towels, beach activities, private and public beaches, 24-hour access to the fitness center, local free calls, Bluetooth radios, luxurious bathrobes. We'll have to check those out. Quiet Rooster earplugs, concierge, except they use Conch, C-O-N-C-H, service. Of course, after arriving a day late, we paid for the room the night before, which we didn't use. We used absolutely none of the services last night. I think around midnight, Rose broke out one of those bottles of water, and I said, how was that $32 bottle of water? Because I think the mandatory compulsory amenity fee per day is about $65. So you're paying your room, and then you're paying your amenities fee, whether you use them or not. And that, of course, is what reminded me of eBay's new promoted listing policy. Regardless of whether their advertising makes you the sale, there's about a 90% chance you're going to pay that promoted listing fee. They've pretty much rigged the game. And I know a lot of people now, they've simply said, a lot of the content creators that I watch have said, no, we're gonna drop our promoted listing fee. We're gonna get out of the program as of January 13th. Now, Rose and I have talked it over, and I'm probably gonna roll back my promoted listing fee. This whole idea is kind of ludicrous. Like the idea of paying for things like room Wi-Fi and a beach at a beach resort. I don't know. So we used no amenities yesterday, but still paid the $65. This really is sounding a lot like eBay. Never opened my laptop, so I never used my Wi-Fi last night. Never opened my bottle of water because I went to bed after having all the coffee. But yeah, I'll go back to the room. We'll get cleaned up, put on some fresh clothes after living in these, and we'll take a look around. Where I'm curious to see Duval Street. This resort backs right up against Duval, which is the main drag. There she is.
My new hat.
Sporting your new hat.
What can I buy?
We'll wander around. Rose will probably want to get into the ocean, or at least into one of the pools today, to make sure we feel like we're enjoying our amenities fee. And maybe we'll even track down that complimentary drink. This is Brian. We're on vacation in Key West. And even though I sound a little cynical, it's not over yet. But even though I sound a little cynical, I'm trying to enjoy myself and our break away from the rain in the Pacific Northwest. Rose said the week's weather report up there, 7 days of rain. So yeah, it's nice to be down here and see a little bit of blue sunshine and see the ocean. So we'll see whether in the end the fees and the cost and the way they've rigged this island feels any better than being an eBay seller.